What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification and put it on all. Without further ado, let's get into it. So just the other day, I believe it would have been yesterday now, we had the opening press conference for Amir versus Kell Brook. And this is a fight that has been in talks for, I don't know, I want to say at least nearly a decade now, probably between about 9 and 10 years. It's a fight that has been sort of dangled in front of us as the boxing fans for such a long time. There's always been talks about these two guys getting it on. Amir started boxing as a pro in the lighter weights. I think he was around super featherweight or lightweight, and then he came up through the weights. Done well at 135, 140, and he's been decent at 147. I personally feel that he is one of those where it's going to depend on who's got what left. Who's out of these two guys has got the most left. I don't believe these guys are the fighters that they used to be, and I think it really is going to depend on who's sort of got more to give at this stage. Who's like Khan's punch resistance and chin, and even to be honest, even Kell Brook's punch resistance is going to be in question, because he fought Crawford, I think was his last opponent, and yeah, he got stopped and he got beat up in that fight, and it was one of those where he was actually doing well. I mean, but again, that's all that all became irrelevant. But it was like he had a good round. I think he had a good opening round or something, and then Crawford would just basically completely change things up, caught him, and just beat him to a pulp. So I think there's definitely question marks over even Kell Brook's punch resistance, and with Amir it's going to be about, he's a guy that is a speed merchant. He's got very, very fast hands, and if he's still maintained a bit of his speed and whatnot, then he's going to at least ask questions of Kell Brook. I consider this fight, I'm not making an exact prediction right now, but from what I know of both guys, both guys have been stopped a few times, probably Khan more than Brook. But it's one of them where both they've got their vulnerabilities, the two of them, and it's, for me speaking now, I feel it's kind of a 50-50 fight. I think the press conference was very entertaining. I think Amir is the guy that comes into this fight on sort of a high horse, believing he's levels above Brook. He was using his press conference to continue to sort of tease Kell Brook, and I think over the years, this is what a lot of this rivalry has been. It's been a lot of Amir just sort of teasing Kell Brook, telling Kell Brook that you're not worth it. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not bothered. He told Kell Brook to get a belt, and then I'll fight you. Kell Brook got the belt, and then Amir avoided the fight and went to fight someone else. I think he went to fight Canelo. So a lot of, throughout these guys' careers, this fight has always sort of been hovering around, and it's always been talked of. But a lot of the time, for me at least, from what I've observed, it seemed to be that Amir is the guy that sort of wasn't really bothered about getting this fight. You could even tell in a press conference that of the two guys, the guy that's more sort of, I don't know if you could say angry, I would say more so frustrated, and really wants to get stuck in, was Kell Brook. I mean, Kell Brook in the press conference was saying, yeah, we're gonna have a car park scrap. You know, I just want to get in there, want to get him. I want to give him a car park scrap. You know what I mean? And you know, he wanted to really get into it. And he was like turned up, man. Kell Brook was like he was ready to go right then and there. Whereas Amir Khan was a little bit more calm. You know, he was saying, we're gonna, you're ridiculous. You know, you're talking about car park scrap. You're meant to be a professional fighter. What are you talking about with all this car park? And he kept going on about they sparred in the amateurs, and he had one hand. He was only using one hand, and he was bashing Kell Brook up back in the days with one hand. And he really, for me, he really sort of got under Kell Brook's skin, to be honest with you. I don't, and it's a funny one because I think that's because this fight is kind of a personal thing. Because Khan, he's not, as a talker, he's not the best talker. He's a confident guy. He believes in himself and whatnot, but he's not like the top talker that winds everyone up. But I think just for this particular fight, he's really got under Kell Brook's skin, and you can tell Kell Brook really just wants to sort of get his hands on him. The face off, you know, Brook was really leaning his head into Khan and whatnot. So yeah, I think this is one of those fights where a lot of people will say it's well past its sell-by date, and I think, yeah, this is not a prime Brook and it's not a prime Khan, but I would also say that this fight will be an exciting fight. I think this fight is going to be, no matter who actually comes out on top in this fight, I think it's got all the ingredients to be exciting because it is personal. These guys, Amir Khan doesn't like Kell Brook. Kell Brook doesn't like Amir Khan. Khan said this is not going 12 rounds, and Brook said, I'm going to knock you out. So both of these guys, they want to knock each other out. They want to punch lumps out of each other, whatever they call it. So for me, yes, this is kind of past its sell-by date, but at the same time, I reckon these fights sometimes that are past their sell-by date that we feel should have happened years earlier, they can be very good fights. And I also think we've got to count our blessings in a way, because there's certain fights in boxing that we never got. We never got Lewis versus Bo. To a lesser degree, we never got Ricky Hatton versus Junior Witter. And I feel that was another fight where you had one guy that was kind of commercially successful and more well known, and you know had the bigger fan base in Ricky Hatton. You know, Ricky Hatton had the massive fan base, the massive following. He was making the millions and whatnot. He was kind of the British superstar. And then Junior Witter was a guy that was on the fringes from the Ingle Gym, who we all know was good. We all know was classy, but we knew that he could possibly cause Ricky Hatton some problems. Possibly could have beat Ricky Hatton. I don't know. Maybe Hatton would have beat him up. Who knows? But it's a shame that never happened. And that was frustrating, especially for Junior Witter, because he was the guy that was on the fringes. He was the guy that wasn't the media darling and didn't have the backing behind him and, you know, whatnot. Whereas Hatton, he had it all. You know, he had the fans and he had the promotion and everyone knew who he was. But Witter wasn't so fortunate. And the fact that fight didn't happen hurt Witter a lot more than it hurt Hatton, and kind of for the fans, a bit disappointing. But yeah, so I think that's one thing we can say, that yes, there's in times past there's been several fights that we've not had between bitter rivals. So at the very least, even if it is a bit late, it probably will be exciting. It might be more exciting now than it would have been back then. So at least it's a grudge match that we've been talked about for years, and at least we finally get to see it. We finally get to see what happens. And as for who wins, that's one that I'm going to look into and do a preview at a later date. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. What did you think of the opening press conference between Kell Brook and Amir Khan? And let me know who your money would be on in this fight. For me, back in the days, I feel it would have definitely been more on Brook because of his timing and the punching power. But at this point, it's crazy because yeah, he probably has the edge in power, but if Amir Khan can keep peppering him with fast, hard shots, catch him early, and maybe hurt him early, then it could be Amir Khan's fight. So it's very open-ended. But let me know what you think, and until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.